The following program is paid for by the Real Estate Radio Network.
You're listening to Real Estate Radio Fresno on 105.9 The FM KMJ. Now, live in studio, your host, local real estate expert, Craig Barton.
Good morning, Central Valley. I am your host, Craig Barton, and welcome to the Real Estate Radio Network, the most important hour of radio each week here on 105.9 The FM KMJ. Real Estate Radio is a show dedicated to bringing some rational thought to the crazy world that we live in and helping you to rebuild the Central Valley's housing and credit markets. Within every market, there are solutions, as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted advice. And that's exactly what you're going to hear every Sunday morning, right here at 7 a.m. on 105.9 The FM KMJ. Thanks for joining us.
Don't look at me like that and giggle.
You know, we were told this morning before we came on the air,
Yeah.
I think that, remember, tone it down just a little bit. I think that was
that was their way of saying behave. Please.
Yeah, that was the word from the outside world saying, you guys are way too pert this morning.
I don't know what to say.
I don't think it's a problem.
Life is good.
It is
the
good.
Weather's gorgeous.
It is.
We're happy to be here on this
It's a
bright and
beautiful,
early morning.
Yeah, beautiful Sunday morning. As always, it is so good to have our special guest host, Michelle Pettiscavalli, here in the studio with us today. Michelle is a licensed realtor and a trusted local professional friend.
I circled trusted. I'm like, really? We're still using trusted? Because I wanted to say trusted friend, and you keep putting in local professional, which, yeah, that's a little concerning. I mean, with the trusted and the friend. We discussed this last week.
When I add
You can't add all those words together. They sound a little sordid.
Yeah, when I add friend to the end there, it just feels like it goes
It went way wrong.
in so many ways. Look at the look on Johnny's face. Well, as always, it is so good to have you here. To help keep the show derailed.
Yeah.
For an entire hour.
Are you kidding? I'm here for clarity.
Yeah.
Clarity.
Well, Michelle, the beauty of real estate radio is that it gives us the opportunity to reach so many people efficiently for one full hour each and every week. And our goal is, Michelle, and it's our goal to get you the timely and accurate truth about your local real estate market so we can help bring you
back home.
Gosh, you always fill in.
You're starting to leave little lines to see if I recall.
To see if you remember. It's like a fill-in test.
Back home.
You know, it is state testing week this week for all the schools, so it's fill in the blank for you. Well, on today's show, we're going to take a closer look at title insurance. We are going to make title insurance sexy today.
It is very sexy. People don't have any idea how sexy it is.
Well, we got to keep it lively. What is title insurance? How does it work? And what are the basic requirements for any transfer or sale of real estate? And why does it play such a big part in today's real estate market and the Central Valley's ultimate housing recovery? You'd be amazed. You'd be amazed what we're going.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
I mean, this can be good stuff.
How can title insurance help protect your dream home? Well, we have resident title expert Liz. You ever been called an expert before?
Not a title.
Whoa, wow.
I think she's an expert at title. I actually put her on conference calls with my clients regularly to
Did she save you a big time?
Oh, my gosh. The clarity that she brings to it, because I try to explain, and evidently I don't bring as much clarity to some of them with all of their, 57 parties.
The big guns and you call Liz.
I do. I say, Liz, help me out here. And she does. She helps me out every time. It's awesome.
We've got title expert Liz Silva here from First American Title, helping us to answer all those and many more questions. Well, make sure you stay with us. If you have any real estate or real estate financing related questions or questions regarding the information that you hear on the show, call us anytime. We'd love to hear you on our off-air number, 800-979-3958. Or you can also check out our resources online at reofresnohomes.com, or just use press 4 keyword
KMJ, call Valleywide.
To get connected to us anytime. We'd love to hear from you. Well, you heard me say, press 4 keyword, KMJ, call Valleywide. Well, we want to help show you that you'll only need one button for the rest. Yes, I said the rest of your life.
Okay, and let's talk about this.
Okay,
because I needed clarity this week, everybody, on the press. I'm sorry. I really, truly, because
I didn't say that out loud. That was my inside voice.
Okay, okay. Press 4. I have it on my phone, and when we talk about it, I press 4, and I call you, and sometimes I call you outside of, the show, and I hit press 4. And so we were just I was getting some clarity, because I said, Craig, how do I order a pizza with this? I mean, is there some directory out there?
You're referring to the conversation we had last week.
Because I was like, really? I love that I can call you, but maybe I want the pizza more that day. And you...
Once again, second only to pizza.
I'm sorry.
Wow.
But no, you were able to bring some
place on a
clarity
keychain.
to it, because I really, truly was like, is there some master Press 4 directory that I'm unaware of?
I did see the light go off. Is there So where's the directory of all the Press 4 keywords that I can actually refer back to?
Exactly. And I think that's where I want to make sure that my 11 million listeners, you have that one,
So
know, but I have 11
have the
million.
one. Yeah. Great. Thank you.
But I wanted to make sure that they understood what the value of Press 4
So
is.
go for it. When the light went on in your head, what does Press 4 mean
It
to
was
you?
really fun. When I was like, Press 4 is only for those times when you're hearing us on the radio at that moment. You
Right.
can hit Press 4, say, yeah, hello, Craig, I have this question, and get us on the line right then and there during the time they're hearing that information. If they want information on our subject, we also share that Press 4 dial-in number. So if they're sitting in the car and they're not in front of their computer where they might be able to access some of the information, they can hit Press 4, and we will send them information as well as be available to speak to them.
So let's give you an example. You don't have to pull the car over and write something down.
Exactly.
Write down a URL.
Right.
Okay. You don't have to text a number
Right.
to a certain number.
Right. You just hit
in
the
order to get-
icon.
you just hit the Press 4 button.
And
on
then you
your-
say,
and you
KMJ
say-
call Craig, and it comes to us specifically, directly.
Exactly.
But what I didn't understand when we kept speaking about it was ordering your pizza and it being the button for the rest of your life. So really what we see is additional companies are picking this up as a feature to their programming or their advertising to share other types of coupons, specials,
Correct.
deals.
Exactly.
And you press 4 at that moment, and it connects you to whatever it is you heard
Yep.
in that information.
How easy can we make it to get information about what we're talking about when you really don't have, when it's inconvenient for you to get in
Right.
front of a computer or text a number?
Right.
How easy can we make it to push information to you
Right.
about the topic that we're talking about, or to contact us, or
Right.
to get more information about HARP 2.0, or to get more information about today's hot property?
So the clarity for me was I can't
This
just...
is the light bulb moment.
Yeah, it was. I couldn't just hit Press 4 and say, pizza, deliver. There has to be somebody out there who says, we've tied into Press 4. All you have to say is,
Call Domino's.
or
Oh.
Roundtable, or me and Ed's, or
Okay,
whoever.
okay.
That's my point,
I
is they have to
prefer
actually
me and Ed's.
work with that. Okay.
Exactly.
Thank you. So we're special because we have Press 4 available to us for folks.
Well, there was that one show 2 weeks ago that we almost didn't have Press 4 available to us because...
All right, well, we behaved after that.
Yeah, we had to.
Okay,
'cause Greg's-
so the reason I bring that up is because I want people to understand that it's during the time they're listening to us, they can hit Press 4 and get that information on their phone, and we can actually, in the future, after today's segment, for instance, connect them with the title, connect
better
them with
believe
the answers that we're bringing to the public. So
One button
thank you for
really-
tolerating my clarity
really
of Press 4.
can do it all. It really
Thanks,
can.
Craig.
I
It
promise.
can.
No, I appreciate you doing that.
Yeah.
This is where we slow it down to where even I can get it.
Okay, good.
Well, in today's Find Your New Home segment, we are going to, Michelle, this is all you.
This is me?
You're helping our listeners find their new home.
Yes, I was working on this really late last night.
Were you?
I was.
Yeah.
Till like 1:30 in the morning, I was working on updating people's searches and getting all the things we've talked about connected for them.
And it's interesting that you, because did you make the comment to me yesterday or today? I don't know.
Are you making fun of me?
No, I'm not. I think it's important.
I had multiple searches for some folks for different areas of town or different zip codes or different types of housing, etc. And they're all set up as different searches.
So back it up real quick.
Yeah.
Make sure that our listeners understand when you're talking about searching for your new home. We're not talking about just hopping on the internet
Right.
and just wildly firing out there.
Right. We're talking about live, multiple listing service search engines that we set up for our clients.
That you actually set up for them.
Correct.
Perfect.
And I had some that have been there for a while because maybe they're picking up investment properties, but they also are looking for their own future new home for themselves. And so I might have one search that's set up for their future home, which might be in a particular zip code, particular house size, etc. And then I might have another search engine that's set up for the rental, specific to whatever zip code or what have you that they're looking for. And there was a button that I had clicked, and I'm like, oh my gosh, is this turning it on or turning it off? Like, I couldn't remember. And I was cracking up, and Craig's like, what? Are you kidding me? And I'm like, well, I have multiple searches going on, so I got a little tuckered out trying to figure it. Yeah, I figured it out.
You did. Good. You got it all dialed in.
I got it all dialed in. I was up late last
Fantastic.
night fixing it.
So working with your clients, how easy or how much easier do you think you're able to make it as far as simplifying the home searching process, because how many times do we hear folks are hopping on the internet, going to Realtor.com, Zillow.com, Red Door, Movoto, any of those search engines out there that you can search real estate for. But really the unfortunate thing is when that information is pushed out there in terms of a syndication, sometimes it gets dated.
Correct.
It'll get stale.
Right.
It'll go from active to
Backup.
well, it'll
pending,
say active.
even though they have 5 offers on it.
Or even though it's pending, or even
Right.
though it's closed.
Right.
So
Takes a little while sometimes.
this particular information that you're able to push their way is actually timely, meaning that when it does go, if it does go pending, comes on the market 5 days and it's got 12 offers, kind of like the market today.
Yeah.
It will update them. the
Right.
moment
As soon
it
as the
does.
agent updates, we update. Like it's an automated thing. And I will have to say, just because we're on the subject, 1,400 and some odd houses on the market this week.
1,413. So when I checked,
Right. Which it changes every minute. I
Right.
mean, as things update
Certainly.
and get added. So we're in the 1,400s. That is amazing.
Yeah, the number keeps going down. I had a client that I was speaking with yesterday that said, so, we were talking a while back when you talked about inventory hitting the market. Well, at what point do you think that REO inventory is going to be getting here? And I said, well, HUD has seen a 336% increase since January, directly attributable to Bank of America as an example, delivered to this one particular asset manager, 200 REO units just in the month of March. So there was most definitely a surge, but there hasn't been anything. In other words, the hole in the boat is way bigger than
Bigger than we're seeing?
no.
I don't understand what you're saying.
What analogy?
Clarity,
am I trying to-
hello.
yeah, thank you. In other words, there's more properties going out the back door, more properties closing, selling, what have you,
Right,
than the properties
right.
that are coming in the front
On the
door.
market,
So
right.
until we get ourselves to the point, I really genuinely believe that until we get ourselves to the point where we are 4+ months, which when you think of it, that's 2,800 listings.
Right.
We trended in excess of 2,900 listings for how doggone long. And I want to say years, but it wasn't
like
that
it.
long. It felt
Right.
like it. Until we get to that point, it'll take the pressure off. The buyer I was speaking with yesterday, he wants to buy down Tower area, somewhere down there. And he was actually widening his search, going a little bit farther south. He liked the price of this particular property, and he says, great property, great price, bad neighborhood. I said, well, we need to have that conversation, buddy. I said, I'm old enough to be your dad, so we need to have this conversation and say, why are you going that far south? Really, you say great property, great price, bad location. What's your exit strategy when it comes time for you deciding to either sell or rent?
Right.
Keep in mind, you don't be a victim of that particular market, because maybe the market has changed, and maybe it's a situation where folks really don't. Maybe that particular area gets worse.
Right.
And folks don't want to. You're stuck. Don't want to offload that property from you. You're stuck. And he says, well, I don't think it'd be difficult to rent. I said, again, do you want to be facing that choice at that point down the road?
Right.
And I said, just take your foot off the pedal a little bit.
Yeah.
Let the properties come to you. If you find the right one, or you find one in the same price range, closer to your sweet spot where you want to buy, then what you end up doing is then we decide we have to act fast. We've got to comp. We've got to determine where we at as far as the
Right.
market's concerned in that particular area. And then we strike. If it's right. But if it's not right, don't force it.
Isn't it amazing the lack of patience right now? We couldn't get people. I mean, honestly. Okay.
Right.
I mean, I was working for Builder, for heaven's sakes, when this tailspin started. And let me tell you, we couldn't beg people in the door to wander the models. And now, I mean, seriously. I mean, that's just where the market, everybody froze.
Yeah.
And now we have these people who are impatient, who want that property yesterday. And it's like, take a breath. The right one will come along. You have to be patient.
I felt the same type of anxiety in 2004 and 2005 with buyers. I really did.
Yeah.
And it's an unfortunate variable because inventory levels that they are at the levels that they are right at the moment do create a great degree of impatience.
Yeah.
There's competition. People are starting to do crazy things. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, so give us a call and let's get this search engine set up so you can sit back at home.
Exactly.
Look at your portal and see what comes up and down and keep an eye on things.
Exactly. Well, if you'd like us to set up or help set up your search, give us a call anytime on our off-air number at 800-979-3958 or use press 4 keyword
KMJ, call Valleywide.
And we'll put you in contact with Michelle, and she can help set up your new search. Actually, she's getting really good at it, huh?
Yeah, 1:30 in the morning. I was excited. It took me a while to wind down after that.
Woo. Well, on today's Hot Property, we are going to feature, this particular property. I'm surprised.
I'm going to tell you, I got to hang out at this property on Sunday.
Did you?
I did.
And what'd you think?
It's a gorgeous property.
Yeah.
You go see a lot of HUDs and a lot of bank-owned properties in general. And I've been in some neighborhoods where, and it seems like lately I've just had a lot of investor types. Mm-hmm. So they're looking for a deficient property. So I'm seeing a lot of deficiencies out there.
Exactly.
So it was really nice, actually, to kind of hang out in this beautiful,
a little more upscale.
No, it was. I mean, it is.
Uptown,
it's got beautiful, cabinetry and beautiful granite, and the features are very nice. Open floor plan. The lighting's all there. The appliances, beautiful cooktop, stove, stainless. I mean, really, truly. I know that
the
sounds hysterical.
Unit is still on the ground on the pad.
There. I don't see any copper wire having been stolen out of the
no
property.
Insulation coming out of the attic.
I'm teasing, but no, seriously, it's a really nice property. Really. It's even painted well. Like, someone would not have to come in and repaint immediately. Mm-hmm. It's a nice property. It needs some yard. The yard needs to be done the way you'd want it, because it looks like maybe that's maybe half done or whatever.
Sure.
But, it was a great property. It's in a brand new neighborhood where they're still building out. Mm-hmm. So, what a great thing. You get to pick your neighborhood, and there's some great people in the neighborhood who stopped by to visit with me.
Really?
Yeah, I'm hanging out in the front yard. Yeah. Hey, I was looking for all you people at the rodeo, and I think you went to the... I think you guys went to the beer garden and never came to see me on that open house.
No.
Nonetheless...
That's a misnomer right there.
It was, It was a great house. It really is.
Awesome. Well, this particular property is located at 2043 Buckingham Avenue in Clovis, California. This, as Michelle had mentioned, this particular property is a HUD home. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2,476 square feet. The property was built in 2007 and is located in Devontae Estates there in Clovis. Mm-hmm. If you're looking for an open floor plan, as Michelle had mentioned, and Clovis Schools, this home is for you. This particular property was appraised at $256,000 with an FHA appraisal. And by the way, if you're using FHA financing, that could save you $400 to $450.
Exactly.
If you'd like more information about today's hot property, please give us a call anytime on our off-air number at 800-979-3958 or use press 4 keyword KMJ.
Hot property.
Yeah, atta girl.
And
I knew you could.
Side note, it has like 2 separate garages.
It does.
Yeah, like a garage on one side, a garage on the other side. It looked like someone had a gym in the garage, or like something special for themselves to work out. It's a really cool property.
Awesome, awesome deal. Well, if you'd like more information about this hot property, sent right to your mobile phone, use press 4 keyword KMJ Hot Property, and look for more hot properties each week right here on the Real Estate Radio Network. Well, after the break, we're going to take a quick look at some of the top stories in the news. We will see you on the other side of the break. You are listening to the Real Estate Radio Network.
This program is brought to you by the Real Estate Radio Network. Visit realestateradio.us for more info. That's realestateradio.us.
Thinking about buying a home? Find out how the HUD Home Store can help you. Visit HUDHomestore.com. Look at HUD homes available for sale near you or nationwide. Why HUD Home Store? HUD will pay up to 3% of the buyer's closing cost. The price of the home is based on an FHA as-is appraisal, which is already completed, saving you an average of $400. And there is an owner-occupant priority bidding period during the first 30 days. Want to know more? Visit HUDHomestore.com.
All it takes is one call to the professionals at Valleywide Homes, and you'll start building wealth in real estate. Whether you're looking for your first home, moving up, or your next income-producing investment property, let the experts at Valleywide Homes help. There's never been a better time to get into the real estate market. Visit our website at reofresnohomes.com or call toll-free 800-979-3958. That's 800-979-3958. And put the seasoned professionals of Valleywide Homes to work for you.
You're listening to Real Estate Radio Network with local expert Craig Barton. Now, here's Craig.
Well, Michelle, we said we were going to take a look at some of the stories in the news. And I tell you what, it's always good to start off on some positive stuff. So let's get the good stuff out of the way before we get to the bad stuff. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Well, the Feds actually are vowing to keep interest rates at or near zero up through 2014. What?
No, when you say Feds, I don't know. The whole time we were growing up, and somebody said the Feds, it was like they're like the CIA.
It was like somebody was selling drugs.
Yeah, right. They're like the guys who keep everybody in check. I don't get that same feeling anymore.
Well, yeah.
Just saying. Sorry.
Yeah, we need to talk about the Inside Job again. I was actually at Best Buy this last week and saw the Inside Job Blu-ray DVD. Get it, Best Buy.
That's
$19.99.
It's a great movie.
Yeah,
really tells you a little bit about the Feds.
That's why I said, it tells you a lot about the Feds and why there's not a whole lot of oversight as far as the Feds.
I don't fear the Feds anymore, that's for sure.
Well, this move will keep mortgage interest rates, which is a great thing because obviously we're both in agreement for once that as part of
recovery.
As part of recovery, I don't think there's any way that you can have a recovery without mortgage rate. Just think of it this way. I always say about 2/3 of the sentence, then I'm on to the next thought. You can't have a recovery without mortgage rates being affordable because housing affordability being as low as it is in terms of price is directly affected by the what is your underlying cost as far as your mortgage is concerned. Taxes and insurances, those are going to be relatively the same.
Well, and we talk about the lack of inventory, but really that's a blessing in this market at this moment because what that shows us is there's true recovery going on here.
Yeah.
I mean, we're seeing houses come off the market and people are either renting them out or moving into them, and it is because rates are low and it's affordable, and that's what we need right now, especially here in the Valley.
Yep. And did you know that the Feds have kept short-term interest rates at or near zero since late 2008? Again, we're witnessing history. This is every day for us makes history once again. Amazing, amazing, amazing. When you can secure FHA financing for a mortgage under 4% on a 30-year fixed rate, really seriously, I remember back in 2002, 3, 4 when mortgage rates were really, when they said 40-year all-time lows. Yeah, they were low, and they were great. But I tell you, they have not been this low for this long a period of time.
Right.
And it really is out of necessity. I don't think there's any – I don't think anyone would argue that it's got to happen this way.
Well, no, absolutely. And I know that when I purchased my last property, 6.125, and they were like, woohoo! That was party. That was party rates.
My first mortgage, 8.375 back in, oh my gosh.
Long time ago.
Yeah.
Oh, you're showing your age. But let's talk about 1980. 18%. Rates were 18% in 1980. I mean, what a wild ride it's been.
So it's obvious that with all the other shenanigans that are going on behind the scenes, that rates obviously have a huge impact on. They're a significant variable when we talk about our housing recovery. Another interesting story that I saw. Found this on National Mortgage News. It says Fannie and Citi, so what they're talking about is Fannie Mae, government-sponsored enterprise, as well as Citi, or Citibank, principal reduction pilot program terminated. I didn't even know it existed in the first place. Well, just hot off the wire today, Fannie Mae and Citibank officials were developing a principal reduction pilot program that was supposed to go live in July of 2010. This is a little late, isn't it?
Well, I find it interesting. I would be anxious to see what else was going on in July 2010 as far as governmental initiatives that potentially put that on hold.
Well, it wasn't an election year either, so.
Oh, you're right. It wasn't. You're right. But, really, because I wonder, to me, it's kind of noble to think they were going in that direction.
Sure.
In 2010, and it isn't until 2012 that we're actually seeing anything occur substantially, and it isn't because of their initiative of it.
Right. Well, it's interesting to note, as we've said before, 5-6 years ago, you heard the term short sale. That wasn't really something that was relevant in the market. It wasn't something that you saw that servicers weren't really paying attention. You contacted a servicer and said, "Hey, I'd like to talk to you about. I've accepted a listing on a property, and I'd like to talk to you. What's your short sale process? Do you have a short sale package? What's going?"
I didn't get calls back.
No.
People didn't even call back.
No.
It was that bad.
And to think that 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago, they were talking about starting or initiating some sort of principal reduction program, I think is very, very interesting. It's not until today that you really start, as we talked about, 3 or 4 weeks ago on the show. There was a representative from the House that was actually talking about, and we've seen them bandied about, ideas of principal reduction as far as some government share in your principal reduction. We're going to reduce your principal balance on your mortgage down to 95% of the current market value. What a great flippin' idea. As long as you're current, you've got to meet the qualifications. We're basically going to set aside the entire balance. 50% of that is going to be in some form of government-held note that is going to be there until you get ready to either refinance or sell your property. And if there's any appreciation based upon from the time that you actually went into this program, then you share it 50% with the government. Well, again, principal reduction, guys, it's either and I hate. The principal is going to get reduced either in the form of foreclosure or the form of short sale.
Correct.
And we see short sales outnumbering REOs on the market right now in our market here in the Central Valley. The servicers are getting much more pliable. Principal is going to get reduced one way or the other. So at which point do you want to reduce it? And the other thing I hate to say is when it comes down to it, what is going to benefit their balance sheet better? Is it going to be principal reduction, or is it going to be short sale or foreclosure because there's some sort of underlying mortgage insurance? Time will tell, but principal reduction obviously is something that is extremely, extremely important. Well, again, if you have any real estate or real estate financing related questions or just questions regarding the information that we cover here on the show, we would so love to hear from you. Michelle was just saying you don't feel like you're getting enough call-ins on your side, do you?
You know, I think we still have a lot of paralyzed people out there.
Yeah.
I know, I really do. I think that they buried their head in the sand and they're just kind of, trying to figure it out.
We talked about it last week. Bottom line is, if you don't know where to go, if you don't know whom to call, if you don't know really what to do, and you're just seeking for just some basic answers. Start with one question. Call us anytime on our off-air number at 800-979-3958 or check out our resources online at reofresnohomes.com or just use press 4 keyword
KMJ, call Valleywide
to get connected to us anytime. Well, after the break, we are going to talk to title insurance guru extraordinaire, top of the heap,
Esquire.
Did you see her shoes?
Did I see her shoes?
Yeah, she wore special shoes for the show today.
Did she really? Her running
my
shoes?
Favorite color.
Well, we've got Liz Silva here in the studio from First American Title here to help shed some light on why title insurance is so important to buyers here in the Central Valley, and really how title insurance helps to protect their biggest investment of their lives, their dream home. We'll see you on the other side of the break. You are listening to the Real Estate Radio Network here on 105.9, the FM KMJ.
This program is brought to you by the Real Estate Radio Network. Visit realestateradio.us for more info. That's realestateradio.us.
Thinking about buying a home? Find out how the HUD Home Store can help you. Visit HUDHomestore.com. Look at HUD homes available for sale near you or nationwide. Why HUD Home Store? HUD will pay up to 3% of the buyer's closing cost. The price of the home is based on an FHA as-is appraisal, which is already completed, saving you an average of $400. And there is an owner-occupant priority bidding period during the first 30 days. Want to know more? Visit HUDHomestore.com.
Mortgage interest rates are at historic lows, and there's never been a more affordable time to buy real estate. Whether you're looking for your first home, moving up, or your next income-producing property, let the mortgage professionals at Valleywide help. Valleywide Homes has been helping homeowners with their mortgage needs since 1997. When it comes to the Valley's real estate, we know our way around the neighborhood. Call toll-free 800-979-3958 and put the seasoned professionals at Valleywide Homes to work for you. Valleywide Homes, NMLS number 342062, 235-952, California Department of Real Estate License 0122-8460.
You're listening to Real Estate Radio Network with local expert Craig Barton. Now, here's Craig.
Well, now here comes the meat and potatoes segment of our show.
I told you she's got red shoes on. She's my best friend for life.
She's your best friend.
I'm going to get a red pair of cowboy boots like mine.
Oh, my goodness.
I know.
Yeah, you're all about the red ropers, right?
I love my red ropers.
Atta girl. Well, again, as we mentioned before the break, we've got Liz Silva, title insurance extraordinaire. She has her own website. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
I didn't even know that.
Really?
Wow, I'm going to have to check myself out.
Reputation.com.
I've got plenty of... No.
We've got Liz Silva with First American Title here in the studio with us. Liz, thanks for getting up so early with us this morning.
You're very welcome.
Awesome. Well, Liz is here to help shed... Liz and LaFonda are here to help shed some light on title insurance. We're going to make title insurance sexy this morning, right?
Well, there's really nothing sexy about title insurance, but I'm going to try.
Tell people that.
I'm going to try. That's why I
edit that out, buddy.
That's why I wear my red shoes.
Okay.
She dressed appropriately for our listeners.
You were trying to make the rep sexy, not title insurance.
Correct.
Sexy.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
All right.
You know, though, there's nothing sexier than a guardian angel. And I kind of think title is like, my title insurance reps, they're like little guardian angels.
There needs to be more people that think that way because most of the time, Liz? They think that title insurance, quote unquote, gets in the way.
Well, it gets in the way or it's just an unnecessary expense.
Yeah, they see it as a fee.
Absolutely.
It's just a fee.
Just a fee. They don't really truly understand what it...
the value.
Yeah,
they don't understand the value.
And what it performs. What I'm at a loss for words. Go figure.
I know.
I tend to make people speechless. That's what I do.
Okay. Now I want clarity here because
what function? That's what I was going to say.
What function?
Sorry, I'm an overtalker once again.
Title and escrow, we always lump them together as agents in our conversations with people.
Right.
But let's explain the difference.
Let's break it out.
Let's break it out, Sista, because there is a difference from title and escrow. They are two separate entities.
Right. And title and escrow is really looked at differently throughout the state. The southern part of the state is definitely more title driven. For our company markets to the independent escrow companies. Mm-hmm. So our company is more title driven in the southern part of the state.
Gotcha.
And really that's kind of how the industry works. In the northern part of the state, they're more escrow driven. Mm-hmm. In the valley, Bakersfield, Tulare, Kings, Madera, Merced, Fresno County, that's where we're sitting.
How far north does it go in terms of, we see it being a combination of title and escrow?
Probably Stanislaus County.
Really?
Stanislaus, San Joaquin. So it's very synonymous. So you have a title officer and an escrow officer under the same roof, under the same.
So we are really in our own little microcosm
Yes.
as far as Bakersfield to Stanislaus County, because every place else,
Right.
north and south, it's all split up in two different entities.
Pretty much,
Somebody
yes.
does just title, somebody does just escrow.
I think that is so typical of the valley and our roots and our way of doing business here, with farming being our focus and people doing business with people they trust and are comfortable with.
Right.
So they took it to one office, and that one office took care of them, so that's how it became the norm, I think. Yeah.
But and it really does work. So it works hand in hand.
Mm-hmm.
Title,
Right.
simply put, is ownership. When do you own that piece
like
of
a pink
property?
slip.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
No, that's what I liken it to when I talk to new home buyers. When you pay off your vehicle, you get the pink slip. Well, when you purchase a piece of property and escrow closes, you get that owner's policy.
Yeah, you don't want salvage title.
No,
Yeah.
absolutely. Heck no. You'll never be able to sell that car.
Okay, so escrow
is a neutral third party, and it's also a depository of funds.
Okay, so that's total, and I think that's where people don't get it.
Right.
They are the ones who are doing the accounting for the transaction, correct?
Right. We have to follow mutually agreed upon instructions. We can't turn on the lights without mutually agreed upon instructions.
Everybody's saying it's okay to turn on the lights.
Exactly. So we make sure that once those terms in the contract are met, purchase price, who pays what, any addendums that come after that those items are met prior to our new buyer taking ownership.
Okay.
And if there's any defects on the preliminary title report, whether there's, hey, there's a down payment assistance deed of trust that the seller hasn't been paying on because it's a due on sale type note.
Sure.
They forgot about it. They haven't been making their payments.
Right.
Now they're brought to,
Isn't that funny? How many times that does happen?
It happens a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
So, those items need to be taken care of prior to our new buyer taking ownership. And then also, when the buyer puts in their earnest money deposit, we hold on to that. Obviously, it's in an escrow fiduciary account. It's not earning interest, but it's sitting there until we get to the point where loan docs come, the loan funds come, and then we make sure that all the bills pertinent to that escrow are paid, and that
the appraiser gets paid, the notary gets paid.
And you would think that when there is a complete accounting of any transaction, any real estate transaction, you sure would want those folks to be your friends.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That you really
Absolutely.
Because otherwise, who else is going to perform that complete accounting? Again, and I think you hit it right on the head when you said neutral third party.
Well, when you could be best friends for 30 years, but as soon as money comes into the picture, all bets are off. Really.
Hey, we've all seen bad family blood.
Oh, yeah. It's so true.
Yeah, so true. So, okay, so escrow is the accounting, and then title is who owns the property.
Ownership, right.
Ownership.
Exactly.
So tell me, what do you collect? What kind of information are you gathering from my buyer or my seller in regards to that?
Well, what we're doing is once you bring a contract, agreed upon contract into our office, what we will do is we will open escrow. Okay, we'll start the escrow account because we've also received an earnest money deposit at that time, so we want to get that open. Then what we will do is we will get a preliminary title report started. That's going to show anything of record that affects that property that needs to be dealt with.
So it's the title report on the property itself. It's not on the people.
It is on the property as well as the seller. So
on the seller.
So
Okay.
anything that pops up against the seller, whether it's, right now we're seeing a lot of public nuisance liens for,
Michelle's been
graffiti
accused of that on more than a couple occasions.
No, but I find it interesting you bring that up because we actually
But
had,
never leaned, though, right?
I've never been leaned.
Okay, good to know.
We've actually,
That sounds like a different show.
Yeah. That actually came up with a client recently where we're purchasing a deficient property, and there have been a lot of city involvement based on squatters in the property, vandalism, etc. So is that the same thing you're talking about?
If the city goes and sees that the property is a nuisance, and they
Or
Not
there's
me,
nuisances in the
Craig.
property?
exactly, then they will place a lien on that property
Okay.
because let's face it, everybody's broke. So the
So
city
is that
wants the
new?
money.
Is that a newer?
It's been within the last couple of years.
So since the foreclosures and
think
short sales have gone up,
It occurred
more empty
in the
properties.
past. Yes, it's occurred in the past, but it's much more
The
frequent
frequency
now.
has
I see.
increased in
Absolutely.
the last
Is
5
that
years.
because the cities are broke and they're concerned about who's going to balance their budgets?
In my personal opinion, I think that's kind of what I think.
Okay.
It is a revenue.
It's a revenue generator, like
Yeah.
speeding tickets. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Interesting.
Don't think for
Anyways.
Don't even get me going.
But it does come into play for how much that seller's going to receive or how much that buyer's going to pay, and it needs to make sure everybody needs to make sure we're clear on who's paying what.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
So the items that affect the property, as well as the seller, will show up on the preliminary title report.
Okay.
We'll show what the property taxes were, if they're due, is there a tax. Is there an unsecured tax lien against our seller? How many loans are against the property, whether it's the first, the second, and the down payment assistance?
Okay.
There are some other items that will pop up as well. Let's say there's a judgment that somebody went to small claims court and they didn't pay it.
Right.
Okay, that's going to show up.
Okay.
Some of the newer developments as well have placed in the CC&Rs. They state that a percentage of the sales price has to go to a charitable housing fund. So those kind of items show up. If there's a homeowners association lien, it's going to show up.
Sure.
Okay.
So basically, I mean, this is the biggest purchase you are ever going to make in your life. And before you hand over, before you sign off a note saying you're going to pay $150,000 over the next 30 years, you want to make sure that those items are taken care of
Sure.
prior to you taking ownership.
So everything that is recorded or that is quote unquote of record, when you're looking at the seller, the seller has to be able to provide or prove the ability to be able to convey equitable title to any potential buyer.
Correct.
Free of any encumbrances.
Correct.
If taxes constitute a lien before any other lien. That's why they show up first on a preliminary title report. You got to be current on your taxes, kids. When ownership switches from one person to another, it's taxes are paid up through
Uncle
that date.
Sam
After
never,
that,
ever goes away, does he?
Oh, boy.
Well, and being involved in the REO sales, you've seen some pretty astronomical tax amounts due on those preliminary title reports. You know, if people aren't paying their mortgage, they're definitely not paying their taxes, and they're for certainly not paying their homeowners'
We had one recently, quick side note, little storytelling. We had one on a Bank of America property that an IRS tax lien showed up, within 2 weeks of close of escrow. And escrow or title just found it, and you could probably tell me exactly what the situation was, but because it was an IRS tax lien, in order to vacate that lien, there was a waiting period of 6 months or something like that.
Yes, it's 120 days.
120 days.
So, for example, right now the hot thing is to go to the steps at the
courthouse
and purchase a property via auction rather than wait for the REO process or whatever. Well, if you pick up a property where there's been a federal tax lien against our seller, you cannot flip that property for 120 days.
Gotcha.
You're an investor. You've got money. That's going to tie up that money for
what's
that
the
period of
mechanism
time.
What's the mechanism that because anything at the courthouse steps is uninsured, correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
So what's the mechanism in place that vacates that lien or releases that lien? You just have to wait 60 days?
You have to wait. You have to wait
days?
6 months.
So your money's tied up. And
Wow.
these investors don't like when their money's tied up.
No, they don't. And if there's a situation where there is a bona fide seller, it's a short sale, it's a traditional sale, they have that federal tax lien. There are certain steps that they can go through to release that lien from that property and put it on either another piece of property that they own or something like that. But again,
or the 72 Ford Escort, they can transfer it to that.
Well, absolutely. Hello.
Those things are hot.
Not as hot as the Gremlin.
Not as hot, but close second.
Yeah.
Apples and oranges.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so that's good. That's clear. That's making sense to me. I know a lot of people here in the Valley, and I've come across this twice in the last, say, 30 days, where we have a lot of people transferring properties amongst family members before the bubble, before the craziness even. Like, one generation wants to make sure the second generation has it, so they grant the title over situation.
Or let me throw something in there. Back in the day, when refinances,
Tuesday?
no,
Which day?
not that close a day.
Okay.
2004, 2005. You could actually grant someone on title and refinance that property with that person on title. In other words, let's say you had one person on title, you wanted to completely grant it to someone else new, total name, total different name. And if somebody comes to you and does that before we get into escrow, that's an uninsured transaction.
Correct.
You're unable to, or they didn't go through the process of ensuring that the initial person that was on title had the ability to be able to convey equitable title to the new person on title. And that was very, very common back then. And if you got real antsy or excited and thought, man, I'll take this property and I'll grant it to so-and-so, and then they can refinance it in their name because they've got the income or the credit or what have you. Well, guess what? You just granted it to somebody that had $40,000 in child support and some judgments and an IRS tax lien, and guess what? You're stuck like Chuck because once you go in, you don't ever come out, right?
Right. Yeah, and that's what a title company will do when we run the title report. If we see a chain of deeds, typically we will go back to the last insured deed because we know, okay, wait a minute, a title insurance policy was issued.
Right.
They did their due diligence. Everything was taken care of through that file. We're going to show the effect of all these following deeds, and we're going to want some explanation onto what were you thinking?
What was you all doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
And sometimes it's done very innocently. I mean, I know a lot of farm families who do this. They grant the grandkids a house that's on the property or whatever, but what they don't realize is what goes along with that is everything that was attached to the people, not the property.
Right.
And that's where you get into some messes if you're not careful because of child support, tax liens, judgment, things you don't know that people have in their closets.
Exactly.
Yeah, what do they have in their closet?
Yeah, I don't want to know what they have in their closet. I'm telling you right now. I've seen enough to know. I want my title rep to know, and I'll just stay out of it.
There you go. Well, if you have any real estate or real estate financing related questions or questions regarding the information that we cover here on our show today, we would so love to hear from you. Michelle would love to hear from you. She's getting kind of lonely.
Why do you keep pushing me on that? Maybe
they don't want to talk to you.
Me.
I'm the only one that's scared from you, kid, or scared of you. Call us anytime on our off-air number at 800-979-3958 or check out our resources online at reofresnohomes.com or just use press 4 keyword
KMJ, call Valleywide
to get connected to us anytime. Well, after the break, Liz, are you going to hang around, please?
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I told you couldn't leave for the next... Yeah, so I
take the shoes. If she leaves early, I'm taking the shoes.
After the break, we're going to continue our conversation about title insurance with special guest Liz Silva from First American Title. Stay right where you are. You're not going to want to miss this. You are listening to the Real Estate Radio Network here on 105.9, the FM KMJ.
This program is brought to you by the Real Estate Radio Network. Visit realestateradio.us for more info. That's realestateradio.us.
Thinking about buying a home? Find out how the HUD Home Store can help you. Visit HUDHomestore.com. Look at HUD homes available for sale near you or nationwide. Why HUD Home Store? HUD will pay up to 3% of the buyer's closing cost. The price of the home is based on an FHA as-is appraisal, which is already completed, saving you an average of $400. And there is an owner-occupant priority bidding period during the first 30 days. Want to know more? Visit HUDHomestore.com.
All it takes is one call to the professionals at Valleywide Homes, and you'll start building wealth in real estate. Whether you're looking for your first home, moving up, or your next income-producing investment property, let the experts at Valleywide Homes help. There's never been a better time to get into the real estate market. Visit our website at reofresnohomes.com or call toll-free 800-979-3958. That's 800-979-3958. And put the seasoned professionals of Valleywide Homes to work for you.
You're listening to Real Estate Radio Network with local expert Craig Barton. Now, here's Craig.
Well, again, we are making title insurance sexy today. We've got Liz Silva from First American Title here in the studio with her sidekick, LaFonda. And we are going to continue the conversation about title insurance.
Hang on, she's finishing her makeup. All right.
Wow. Okay, Michelle, take it away.
I have a question.
It's all you.
I do.
I know
it's all
you
about
do.
me
You had your
right now.
hand
I got
up for
questions.
crying out loud.
Mr. Cotta. A lot of times people don't understand owner's insurance versus lender's insurance.
Okay.
Can you share the difference between those?
Absolutely. Okay, so owner's insurance. The owner's title insurance policy is typically paid for by the seller. Now, what that does is, the purchase of a home is one of the most expensive and important purchases that will ever be made. Okay, the buyer wants to make sure that the property is theirs, that eventually it will be theirs.
Right.
So they want to make sure that all the items that were against the seller or that were of record against the seller are taken care of prior to them taking ownership. So the owner's policy is the seller assuring the buyer that they have clear title, that it is now theirs. Okay. The lender's policy is a policy that's typically paid for by the buyer.
Okay.
The buyer is the one that is borrowing the money to purchase the home. So the buyer pays for that policy. That policy ensures the lender that should they go defunct on their loan, that the bank can, foreclose on that home and they can take that as an asset.
So it's a confirmation there's clear title and of that new ownership.
Correct.
Is that what I'm understanding?
Correct. Exactly.
And this is a question that it just popped into my little pea brain. So what if you've got the owner's title insurance policy and you've got the lender's or the Alta title insurance policy? What if there is no financing on the property? There still is a buyer's portion of title insurance that they pay, regardless of whether there is financing or not.
Yes,
correct?
if it's a cash purchase, then yes, there still is a owner's policy.
Gotcha.
So the seller still does pay for that. Of course, in this day and age, everything is negotiable.
And exactly. Everything's negotiable, Michelle.
But I think it's important, though, that you bring up a cash sale because we, again, have a lot of those that come up, or granting deeds back and forth. Regardless of the situation, whether you're granting free and clear property or whether or not there's cash involved, private sale, it's still to their benefit.
Absolutely.
To
How
make
many
sure
times
these
have
are
you heard
in place.
in the last 5 years, I don't need title insurance?
I hear it all the time.
$80,000 cash, 10-day, no contingencies. We want to close fast. We don't need no stinking title insurance.
Well,
Yeah.
see, and I liken it to you and I can know each other for 20 years. You've lived in the same house for all those 20 years. Well, you come to me and you say, hey, I want to sell you the house I've been living in for $50,000. We don't need an agent. We don't need title insurance,
all the
nothing.
time.
We shake hands. You've made off with my $50,000 and the house because I come to find out you don't own it.
Right.
So really, it's so important.
It's dangerous.
To have title
Oh,
insurance.
most definitely. Most
It's
definitely.
protecting
And
your investment.
An owner's and title insurance policy is only applicable in a purchase transaction. So on a refinance transaction, there is just a
Lender's policy. Yes.
Period.
Yes.
And that's just confirming that it's free and clear.
Right, the lender, because the lender is lending that money to the new borrower.
And there's not a seller involved, so that's why it's
Correct.
Only, okay.
The lender wants insurance that they're in first position and that
Right.
they can foreclose.
And that's because you might be going from a Bank of America mortgage to a Citibank mortgage, and you're changing the loan
Certainly.
itself.
And
Okay.
what Liz said earlier is commonly one of the common instances today is a city second or some type of down payment assistance second that's silent. They've never been making payments on. And they say, hey, we want to take advantage of a little appreciation and great rates, and we want to shorten the term to 15 years. And oh, shoot,
Oops.
we didn't know that we had a $3,850
Right.
silent city second that has accrued interest or not.
Right.
And that's how you ensure that everything's got to be taken care of, because that then has to be paid or included in the actual balance. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that is considered, well, I shouldn't say if it's considered cash out or not, but anyway.
Nonetheless,
Yep.
but that is where the escrow and title, if they're working together, it's so much more effective because title's clarifying who gets what,
Right.
and then escrow's actually accounting it.
Right, escrow's
Okay.
accounting it. Escrow's doing the actual
Payoff to those folks.
Exactly, requesting the payoffs. Something that I wanted to bring up too is that obviously when things were great and wonderful, people were getting home equity lines of credit.
Oh,
So, obviously those items will show up on a preliminary title report, and there'll be a little blurb underneath that says, this is a home equity line.
Right.
There may be a zero balance.
May not be.
There may not be.
Hey, or you went to a local credit union and they said, you know how we can give you
Yeah.
the tax deductibility of all the interest that you're paying on this $40,000 BMW is we'll just secure it with a deed of trust on your home. Now, oh, yeah, that sounds great. Right. Well, guess what? Now you've got a $40,000 second lien
Yeah.
on your property. Or worse yet, a first, a city second, a credit union
equity
third.
line of credit.
And the credit union saying, oh, no, we're not going to release it. 'cause,
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, and
It
then
could
trying
be
to get
really-
a short sale lender to approve
approve
any
it.
of those.
Right.
Yeah.
Good luck with that.
It's a little,
Yeah,
it's
a little
money.
confusing. Yeah, a
money.
little bit. Are you?
both-
I know we both inhaled
At
at
the
the same
at the same
time.
time.
I wanted to know here locally, just so the public knows, purchase transaction versus who chooses title?
Okay. With a refinance transaction, we can we can have relationships with the mortgage broker or the, direct lender. But the government decided that they wanted to empower the borrower. So the borrower does now have an opportunity to choose. They can kind of shop their rates and whatnot. So the borrower can choose.
I'm chuckling because, yes, you can go somewhere else, but Fannie Mae says you can take it somewhere else, but you're going to pay for all of it if you take it somewhere else.
Well, that's on buyer's choice. I was talking about a refinance.
Oh, sorry. I'm so sorry.
I'm going to start doing the show.
So, when is
It's
it
not a big
seller's
chair to
choice?
fill either, just so you know, Liz.
Well, no, in a sale transaction, like say the REO, the bank that owns the property, they typically have they direct who that transaction goes to. But the government decided a couple years ago, hey, the buyer has the choice to direct where it goes, and then the bank said, you're going to have to pay everything. So really it wasn't. But typically it's a seller directed
Because, again,
market.
anything's negotiable, and we want to work with who we want to work with as far as whoever if it's Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, whoever negotiated that national contract to send it off to
Right.
Gotcha.
Timbuktu Escrow.
Yeah. Harmony.
We were joking earlier. They pick up the phone. Who is you and what do you want?
In other cities, they do react that way.
It is terrible. It is so terrible. We don't feel like a customer. We
You
feel
know
like
why?
a redheaded stepchild.
This comes back to us being in the valley. I really think
they don't like us. Is that what you're trying to say?
No, not that they don't like us, but if you've been in sales or marketing or anything, it's very much relationship built here. And so when you go to a larger area,
it's something for people in the northern or southern
different.
part of the state to come to grips with. It's not, it's so relationship driven.
Yes.
Your family did me wrong 30 years ago. I don't want to do business with you.
Exactly.
Sure.
You got to overcome
I want
that.
a whole different title company.
So what are, Liz, what are some of the, I don't know, some of the quirky things that you've seen in your experience? You know, you said to us earlier you started when you were 12 in the title and escrow business.
Oh, you're so sweet.
You're 14 now. So
right, exactly, exactly. A couple of things to just bring up. When you're going into your final signing appointment, bring the proper identification. There's nothing more frustrating for a notary, speaking for myself, as not having that signer have the proper identification. Sure. Either a passport, a driver's license, a government-issued form of ID, and it has to be. It can't be expired.
Sure.
I had somebody pull out one that expired in 2000 the other day. I was like, this is not going to work.
But it worked at Jimbo's.
Yeah. Right? I know.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, and neither do you look like this.
She isn't your granddaughter.
Oh, wow.
So, definitely bring the proper identification. That's one thing to
because they have to verify that you are who you say you are, because they're verifying your identity so that you can sign and take title to this biggest purchase of your life.
Right. And if you're a buyer putting in an all-cash offer, don't decide to change or add buyers at the last minute, especially on an REO or a short sale. That's going to make the process start all over again. Definite communication with your agent and your lender.
It does help to communicate. Sign language, any type of communication.
Smoke signals, whatever.
Carrier pigeons.
Well, if you have any real estate or real estate financing related questions or questions regarding the information that we cover on our show here, we would love to hear from you. Call us anytime on our offer number, 800-979-3958, or check out our resources online at reofresnohomes.com, or just use press 4 keyword
KMJ, call Valley
to
Wide.
get connected to us anytime. Liz, thank you so much for taking time and coming in on a Sunday morning, killing a Sunday morning with us. And
well, thank you very much for having me.
No, really appreciate it. Thank you for making title insurance sexy. A big thank you to Michelle Pettis-Cavalli, my special guest host, for joining us today. As always, Johnny, Johnny's
laughing at me
so much.
because I want to say, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a dignified end to the show.
It is.
Johnny makes it sound so good. Well, our goal is to get you the timely and accurate truth about your local real estate market so we can help bring you back home. Don't forget to tune into the Real Estate Radio Network next Sunday at 7 a.m. on 105.9, the FM KMJ. Special note, our guest this next week is going to be County of Fresno supervisorial candidate Larry Fortune. You are not going to want to miss this. Make it a great day, Central Valley, and we will see you next week.
The preceding program was paid for by the Real Estate Radio Network.